welcome back to CARV Fitness. I'm your host, Joe Kwan. We have Joey and Ashley here who are gonna walk us through this recovery block. Now, you just did a tough workout, and these recoveries are what's gonna set you up for success for later on. Without these recoveries, I think my body would feel infinitely worse than it does on a daily basis. It's really an opportunity for your body to slow down, lengthen out, instead of getting tight from the workout. This is our chance to really let go of all of the different things that are going through our heads. Just for 5 minutes today, we're just gonna think about these stretches. So we're doing 4 stretches, and some of these stretches are a little bit difficult. So I'll try to give modifications, do what feels comfortable for you, and I'll try to pinpoint the specific muscles that are getting stretched through a lot of these so that you can try to find the right stretch for yourself. We're holding the first 3 stretches for 1 minute each and the last stretch for 2 minutes. That's quite a long time to hold some of these stretches. If you have to fall out of them, get right back into them. These time structures that we have on this recovery are just suggestions. If you want to stay in these stretches for longer, I think that's great. If you can stay in a squat stretch for 5 minutes, that's great. But if you can only do it for 20 seconds, that's great too. Just try to, if you do for 20 seconds, try to build up to 1 minute, build up to 2 minutes after that, 4 minutes after that. This is just a starting point for a lot of us. So the first stretch is what's called a twisted cross. This starts on your belly. Your body will be in a cross position, and I'll demonstrate really quickly. So your arms are going to be out, and really, you're going to bend your first arm, your right side, and you kick your leg over, and you're just going to hold this position for 1 minute. The second minute, it's going to be the other side. The third stretch is what's called a Malasana, or a squat stretch, and it's just sitting at the bottom of a squat. This squat stretch can be very difficult if you haven't done it before. It does require ankle mobility, hip mobility, and balance. So if this is difficult for you, I'll give some different modifications throughout, but just some quick ones. You can always do a butterfly stretch from the ground, just to get the stretch in your groin. You can also do a shoelace stretch, right leg over and bend over your arm, bend over your legs. Those are just 2 options for you. The final stretch is a wide-legged forward fold. That is just gonna start, your legs out, try to get 90 or further with your legs, and you're just gonna sit here with your back straight and breathe through it. As you take deeper breaths, we're gonna try to get lower and lower into that stretch. So keep that in mind. We're gonna hold that last stretch for 2 minutes, so you have plenty of time to get into a deeper and deeper position. You all ready to get into this? All right, so there's not gonna be too much motion here, so keep that in mind. We're gonna go into this twisted cross left. All right, so arms to the side. Push over. We're just gonna hold it there. Now, as you get more experience in this stretch, you could start to roll over even further. If you're just starting out, you can almost just kind of stack your leg on top of the other if you want. Or if you can get that leg over there. Now, the point of this stretch is to really stretch your left pectoral muscle. And you'll feel it in your shoulder blades as well. So if it feels like it's too much, don't force it. When you're stretching and something doesn't feel right, that's when you do not want to be doing that stretch. Something should not be pinching, or you shouldn't have any sort of pain that makes it difficult to do. A certain amount of pain is going to happen, especially if you stay in this stretch long enough, just because your muscles are going to be lengthening out. You don't want any sort of sharp pain that makes you, lose your breath. 10 seconds, and you're going to switch over to the other side. And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Just roll it over. Now, something to remember is one side is going to be very different from the other. I'm right hand dominant. My right side's a little bit tighter because it just gets used more often. Keep that in mind when you go into this. You might not be able to flip your leg over all the way. You might hear some interesting pops and cracks when you do this. I start kind of looking for those pops and cracks because they make me feel better personally, but just something to keep in mind. Both these 2 have really great shoulder mobility, and they're able to they almost come above, perpendicular to the ground with their shoulders, which is pretty impressive. But the more you do this, the more you'll be able to get into these stretches. One last thing to remember, right now is when you really need to breathe through every single one of these stretches. Try to breathe deep, try to get deeper into the stretch. We're moving on to the Malasana squat stretch in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. This one, I like to start with my feet kind of pointed out. Depending on how your hips are situated, your feet will either point forward or they'll be pointed out at an angle. As you get better into this stretch, you can get lower and lower and get your bum closer to the ground. So this is something that I love doing. I often call this a kimchi stretch because my mom, she makes large amounts of kimchi. When I say large amounts, she makes about 100 pounds at a time. She'll sit in this position for hours cleaning cabbage out of a bucket. So, you know, my mom is 70 plus years old and she's able to hold this for many, many, many minutes. 15 seconds, and we're gonna go into a wide-legged forward fold. But for now, try to feel this. It's gonna maybe be difficult. If you can't do this one, get out of it, try to drop back into it. 3, 2, 1. This next stretch, we're just gonna sit on the ground, both feet out, as wide as you can. You get a stretch in the groin. You wanna make sure that your torso is nice and upright. You don't wanna round your back in this because that takes the whole benefit of this stretch away. Back is straight, chest is out. And really what I do is, I find the positioning on my butt that feels the best, you know, because you're gonna have one hip that's a little tighter than the other. And then I kind of put my hands down in front of me, and I try to walk them out slowly. And if I find a point that's kind of a little bit tight, I just kind of hold it there, take a deep breath, exhale, and just go 2 inches further into that stretch. This is another one of those stretches where as a kid, I was probably able to lay down on the ground in front of me with my legs totally out to the side. As we get older, the less we stretch, the tighter we get. All these things make life more difficult, to be honest with you. The tighter we get, the more difficult life can be. But we're a minute into this stretch, and this is a stretch that I would seriously sit in front of the TV while I'm relaxing and just sit here and watch TV like this because it is something that really feels great. You should feel this in your hamstrings, you should feel this in your groin, you should feel it a little bit in your lower back, especially the deeper you go. It's a great, great stretch just for relaxing, in my opinion. 30 seconds and we'll be done. A lot of the times when I'm in this position, I just kind of inch my fingers shorter with every breath and try to get a little bit more of a stretch. Remember, breathe, exhale, stretch. You got 5 seconds and you'll be done with this whole block. 3, 2, 1. That's it. Just come out of it nice and slow. Fold your legs. Sit there for as long as you need. Go grab some water. Do whatever you need to get on with the rest of your day or evening. And I'll see you later on.